Today on Showreel, Bruce Willis in action thriller 16 Blocks. 70s supergroup Sparks continue to top the charts. Layering was the theme of the day at Chanel's Paris collection. And we take a look at Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct 2. So let us take you through all there is to know with Showreel.
But first, here's some trivia you may not be aware of. Sarah Jessica Parker played a role in the original stage production of the Heidi Chronicles, only to be replaced when the show moved to Broadway by Cynthia Nixon, her Sex and the City co-star. Kim Cattrall also played a role in the 1995 film version of the play. That makes Kristen Davis the only regular cast member of Sex and the City not to appear in some adaptation of the role.
Will Smith has certainly been a busy man. The Grammy winner gained a place in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most public appearances in 12 hours by attending 3 red carpet premieres for his film Hitch on February 22, 2005. The Oscar nominee walked the red carpet and introduced the film at Manchester, Birmingham, and finally for the premiere in London. Will was also the person to receive the first ever Grammy Award for Best Rap Performance in 1989.
Coco Chanel was a woman of many talents. In addition to her work in the world of high fashion, Gabrielle Coco Chanel also designed stage costumes for plays like Cocteau's Antigone in 1923 and Oedipus Rex in 1937, as well as film costumes for several movies, including Renoir's La Règle des Jeux. From her first millinery shop, opened in 1912 to the 1920s, Coco Chanel rose to become one of the premier fashion designers in France.
Daphne, Rubin-Vega and Fredi Walker, the original Mimi and Joanne from the Broadway musical Rent, are the only 2 cast members not to reprise their roles for the film version. At the time the film went into production, nearly 10 years after its first performance, Walker was, by her own admission, too old to play Joanne, while Rubin-Vega was pregnant at the time of filming and was also nearly 15 years older than the 19-year-old Mimi.
Set in New York, 16 Blocks tells the story of alcoholic detective Jack Mosley, played by Bruce Willis, who is assigned to escort petty criminal Eddie Bunker from the police precinct to the courthouse.
It's a nothing thing. 118 minutes to get a witness.
Although the script is intense, Bruce and co-star Mos Def say they had a great time working together, despite Mos almost turning down the role.
It wasn't calculated at all. It was kind of last minute and very serendipitous, and I think he was doing an album. I think he had already passed, and we gave it one last shot. And
I was like, nah, I can't. I would love to, but I'm working on an album. And they called back. I was like, you know, Bruce called me. And when you kind of get that call, yeah, when you get that call, it's like Bruce is on the phone. You're like, Bruce, who?
The 16-block trip becomes dangerous when Jack's corrupt NYPD partners try to stop them. The story then turns into a struggle between life and death as Eddie and Jack try to make it to safety.
It's too much, man. Look, I'm doing the rest of this on my own, okay? I'm doing what I said I was going to do. I'm getting out of here.
If I can find you, they can find you. If I can find you, they can find you.
Eddie, listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm your only friend down here, all right?
Bruce went through an amazing physical transformation for the role, gaining 8 kilograms.
The kid was going to testify against Jerry. He saw Jerry doing some business. It's going to hurt a lot of us. See, this whole thing, it caught us completely unaware. Just the wrong time and the wrong place for you today. And I never figured you'd cap one of those guys. That's what I get behind drug addicts.
Grab the gun.
All right, here we go. Jack.
Squeeze the trigger.
16 Blocks also stars David Morse as bad guy officer Frank Nugent. Morse said he enjoyed playing a role so far removed from his own personality.
Yeah, all those things you never get to do in real life, all the things you fantasize about doing, and you get to do them with such confidence and be so rotten to people. It's very satisfying, yeah.
Jack must choose between loyalty to his colleagues and protecting his witness. This is the story of how two men change each other during a tense 16-block struggle between life and death.
Bruce Willis is in this episode's hotspot. He's been in 8 films with numbers in the title: 12 Monkeys, The Fifth Element, The Sixth Sense, First Deadly Sin, The Whole 9 Yards, The Whole 10 Yards, and 16 Blocks.
30 brands of perfume and 30 girls' names feature in the lyrics of hit song Perfume from 70s supergroup Sparks. The single was the first to be released from the band's 20th album, Hello, Young Lovers.
Marion wears Mystique, Judith wears Shalimar, but you don't wear no perfume.
Former child models Ron and Russell Mayall emerged as Sparks in the early 70s. Ron told Showreel that they wanted their album to have individuality.
So many pop albums are so easy to kind of file under whatever the genre is, and we wanted to do something that was kind of not as easily pigeonholed, obviously not wanting to commit commercial suicide at the same time.
Sparks have continued to score numerous hit singles throughout their 30-year career with their melding of pop, electronic dance and glam theatrics. They've proved hugely influential to many bands from the punk and new wave scene like Franz Ferdinand.
There was a time when being young was being rebellious about things, and it seems like there's so much complacency and conformity about even being young nowadays, and that's sad. And so it is kind of pathetic that someone from our generation, whatever that generation is, kind of has to be the ones doing it. We would much prefer that it were younger bands that were kind of doing things that were shaking things up, but that's the way it is.
Despite their absence from the chart headlines in recent years, Sparks have continued to write and record.
Well, screw the past. That's why I want to spend my life with you. That's why I want to spend my life with you.
The brothers admit the only inspiration taken from any current music was the decision to go as far as possible in the opposite direction.
People assume just because of what we do is sort of stylized that we work in a complete vacuum, but we don't. We really do listen to other things, and there doesn't seem, it seems to be a period. Well, I hope it's just a period. I hope it's not permanent, but there isn't any kind of ambition or kind of attempt to move things to the next step. It's always building on in just small increments from what came before, and so, you know, we'd like to cite other bands now that are kind of going the right way, but, you know, without trying to sound arrogant, we really can't.
Their album Hello Young Lovers has been a hit with critics and fans alike, with critics describing it as inventive and memorable.
That's why I want to spend my life with you. That's why I want to spend my life with you. That's why I want to spend my life with you. That's why I want to spend my life with you.
Our Top 5 this episode looks at the top 5 albums of 2004. At the #1 spot is Usher with Confessions. Norah Jones' Feels Like Home is at #2 with Encore by Eminem at #3. Kenny Chesney's When the Sun Goes Down and Gretchen Wilson's Here for the Party round out the top 5. More than 30 years after it emerged from the neighborhoods of the South Bronx in New York, hip-hop has evolved into a cultural and global phenomenon. In honor of the uniquely American music genre, the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History began an initiative to collect memorabilia for a new exhibit celebrating the hip-hop culture. The exhibition traces the music from its origins in the New York Bronx in the 1970s to its current global reach. Founders of the hip-hop genre, including Russell Simmons, believe hip-hop is the soundtrack for American culture.
The thing about hip-hop was that it was from the underground and spoke about the idea from the underbelly, right? People who had mostly been locked out and had not been recognized, and this is not only a soundtrack for American culture over the past 30 years, is a documentation of a lot of it that's been left out of our history.
Hip-hop legend Africa Bambaataa of the Universal Zulu Nation donated items like custom-made jackets with the Zulu Nation logo, necklaces and promotional photographs. Founder of the gangster rap genre Ice-T gave the museum concert t-shirts, posters and a never-before-released CD, Home Invasion. The National Museum of American History collects, preserves and displays American heritage through exhibitions and public programs. The hip-hop stars looked on as the artifacts, some of which had collected dust for decades in boxes and attics, were presented to the museum. The contributions include female rapper MC Light's book of lyrics and a turntable, vinyl records and other memorabilia from fellow hip-hop pioneers. The project is expected to cost $2 million and take up to 5 years to complete.
After winning 11 Ariel Awards and taking home numerous prizes at international film festivals, director Fernando Eimbcke'S debut film Duck Season finally got the audience it deserved. The film tells the story of two 14-year-old boys, Flama and Moko, who are left alone on a Sunday afternoon. The boys plan to play video games and eat junk food all day, but things don't go quite as planned.
¿Y tú cuántos años tienes?
14.
Yo tengo 16. ¿Y cuándo los cumpliste?
El 6 de junio.
¿El 6 de junio? 6, enero, febrero, marzo, abril, mayo, junio. ¿El 6 de cuándo naciste?
90.
¿1990? A ver, 9 y 9, 18. Ah, no. No te salvaste.
¿De qué?
¿Cómo? Pues de ser el anticristo. 6.
As the boys set out on their day, they are interrupted by the neighbour, 16-year-old Rita, who wants to use the oven to bake a cake. A power outage further delays their plans, so the boys decide to order a pizza, which is guaranteed to be delivered in 30 minutes or it's free. After arriving 11 seconds late, the boys refuse to pay the pizza man, who will not leave without payment. When he decides he won't leave without the money, the boys challenge him to a video game contest.
En Sudamérica. En Francia. En México. En Alemania. En Suiza, en Italia. En Rusia y en China.
In the director's native Mexico, the film was received with critical acclaim. Eimbcke'S thinks the story and struggles will translate well with international audiences as well, because after all, everyone undergoes adolescence and confronts similar sorts of issues.
To my place. Trip!
Whoa, huh?
You live with your parents?
Is that a problem?
In failure to launch, desperate parents hire a beautiful woman to lure their son out of the house. While adults living at home is not that uncommon, star Sarah Jessica Parker admitted that she couldn't imagine doing it.
I can't imagine living home the same way I can't believe I don't have to go to school tomorrow morning. You know, like, I'm glad I was educated, but I don't want to go back anymore. Like, I love going home now. So if I lived home, I don't know where I'd go, because I really love going home. And that feeling when I enter my parents' house, that feeling of finally relaxing.
Parker plays Paula, a professional consultant who coaxes grown men to leave their parents' home. Her record is flawless until she's hired to work on Trip, a 35-year-old mama's boy played by Matthew McConaughey.
I'm Trip.
You know, usually I don't sleep with someone on the first date.
Oh, I don't think this counts.
McConaughey was adamant that he'd never had a failure-to-launch moment in his own life.
No, not for me, man. I was ready to go out independently and test out my 18 years of living at home, test it out in the rest of the world, you know?
Yeah, you are.
Hey, seriously, I'm not one of those girls who don't eat. I wanted all that.
See, technically, this is not my boat. Actually, it's not my boat in any way.
What?
I'm a boat broker. I sell boats. I would love to own a boat like this.
McConaughey said that he's drawn to comedic roles, and after so many, he knows the secrets of comedic acting.
When it's working, when comedy's working, it feels simple. It feels so easy. And that's sort of the work in the romantic comedies is to keep them light and funny. The work is to keep them there. It's not to go to a heavy or literal place. To kind of keep it, the boat skipping across the waves, you know? Bam, bam.
But I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not kidding. Seriously.
You're sailing.
What if I hit something?
I think you'll be okay.
There's little doubt that this launch is a success.
Matthew McConaughey's first significant role was in 1993's Dazed and Confused, where his role was expanded from only 3 scenes to more than 300 lines.
Set in Iraq, the Turkish action movie Valley of the Wolves, Iraq, pits a Turkish hero, Polat Alemdar, against US military forces. Polat, played by Turkish actor Necati Sazmaz, initially takes on the US military to avenge mistreated detained Turkish commandos and restore his country's honor.
Him up now.
Author Haluk Sahin says the movie has big box office prospects in Middle Eastern countries regarding the anti-American sentiment in those regions. However, he adds that in Valley of the Wolves, the objections have gone too far.
In this film, we see a combination of anti-European and anti-American feelings forming some kind of a nationalistic religious objection to what's been going on. But I'm afraid the objection goes too far, and it serves the purpose of not sincere nationalists, but those who have other axes to grind.
The film also stars American actor Billy Zane as a powerful US intelligence agent who's determined to create tension among Iraq's people.
Meanwhile, you watch your country's fortune go to ruin. I would sacrifice 11,000 of my men if needed.
Valley of the Wolves, Iraq capitalizes on anti-American sentiment in Turkey since the Iraq War and turns the spotlight on the relations between the NATO allies. Layering was the theme of the day at Chanel's Autumn-Winter 2006 collection in Paris. Black dominated the Chanel catwalk, and fabrics included satin, lace, and lots of leather. Heavy jeweled detailing was introduced across the shoulders and neckline of evening dresses and on tight-waisted belts. Sparkling details on coats and jackets added a precious touch to Karl Lagerfeld's creations. Lagerfeld, who has lived in France since his childhood, has been designing Chanel's collections for more than 20 years. Evening dresses were short and off the shoulder, in loose chiffon with frilled edging. Wide corset belts featured accentuating black tulle spangled evening dresses. Models emerged from a golden sliding door on a bright catwalk illuminated by the sun. Lagerfeld blew kisses to the audience as he rushed on stage after the show, with his long white hair tightened in his usual ponytail and wearing his popular black leather gloves and sunglasses.
"14 years after steaming up movie theatres opposite Michael Douglas in Basic Instinct, Sharon Stone returned with the film's sequel. In the psychological thriller Basic Instinct 2, after relocating from San Francisco to London, crime novelist Catherine Trammell, played by Stone, once again finds herself on the wrong side of the law.
Oh, so you're a writer. What do you write about?
Oh, the sexual, the violent, the basic instincts.
Dr. Michael Glass, played by David Morrissey, a respected London criminal psychiatrist, is brought in to perform a psychiatric profile and evaluation of Trammell following the mysterious death of a top sports star.
Do I make you uncomfortable?
Be careful, Michael. She's trying to seduce you.
Did you kill him?
If I said I didn't, would you believe me?
Everything that comes out of her mouth's a lie, even the truth's a lie.
What exactly do you want?
I wanted it from the first moment I saw you, and you did too. How do you picture it, Doctor?
I believe Miss Trammell's behavior is driven by what we might call a risk addiction. I suspect the only limit for her would be her own death.
Mentally intrigued by her, Glass is quickly sucked into her web of lies and seduction.
What you said about me being addicted to risk, isn't that what turns you on?
Don't play games with me.
What, do you think I killed him?
Survival is the most basic instinct.
That's all we've got time for. See you next time on Showreel.
I feel like a cigarette.